There is a particular kind of silence that lives in the space between two people when their eyes cannot meet. It is not the silence of peace, nor the silence of indifference. It is the silence of a door left slightly open, inviting yet guarded, terrifying yet familiar. Some people carry their gaze like an offering, freely given. Others hold it back, as if looking directly at another person might reveal something they're not ready to show, or perhaps something they're afraid to see. Eye contact is not merely a social nicety. It is a form of presence, a quiet agreement that says, I am here, you are here. For this moment, we exist together. But for some, that agreement feels too heavy to sign. There is a moment, just before two people's eyes meet, when the world narrows. Everything else, the noise, the movement, the passing of strangers falls away. What remains is only this, the unspoken exchange between two gazes, a recognition, a witnessing. For most, this moment passes without consequence. The eyes meet, hold briefly, and release. A small social rhythm repeated 1,000 times without thought. But for some, that moment feels different. It feels like standing on the edge of something vast and exposing, like being asked to step into a spotlight they didn't request. The instinct is immediate and visceral. Look away, drop the gaze, find the floor, the wall, the space just past the other person's shoulder, anywhere but their eyes. It is not coldness. It is not disinterest, that it is protection. Because to meet someone's eyes is to be seen, and being seen, for some, feels unbearably vulnerable. There is a tightness that comes with it, a pressure in the chest, a quickening of the heartbeat. The mind begins to race. What are they thinking? Can they see through me? Am I doing this wrong? The gaze becomes a mirror, reflecting back not just the other person's presence but something deeper, a fear that whatever they see in you might be disappointing, inadequate, too much, or not enough. And so the eyes drift, not out of rudeness, but out of self-preservation. This is what people often misunderstand. They interpret the averted gaze as arrogance, discomfort, or worse, they assume the person avoiding eye contact doesn't care, doesn't want to be there, doesn't value the connection. But the opposite is often true. The person who cannot hold your gaze may be the one who feels too much, who is hyper-aware of every subtle shift in your expression, who is reading your face with an intensity that exhausts them, even as they look away. They are not absent, they are overwhelmed by presence. Eye contact is not neutral. It is one of the most intimate acts we perform in public. It says, I acknowledge you. I am willing to be acknowledged by you. It is a small contract of mutual visibility, signed in silence. But for those who have learned, consciously or not, that being visible is dangerous, this contract feels impossible to sign. Perhaps they were once looked at with anger that made them want to disappear. Perhaps they were scrutinized, criticized, or dismissed in ways that taught them their face, their expression. Their very presence was something to be ashamed of. Or perhaps they simply carry a nervous system that experiences the direct gaze of another person not as connection but as threat. The avoidance is not weakness, it is adaptation. That it is the way a person learns to survive in a world that has felt, at times, too harsh to face directly. And yet, there is a cost, because as much as avoiding eye contact offers safety, it also deepens isolation, that it creates a battle, invisible, but present between the person and the world, between the person and true intimacy, between the person and the quiet reassurance that comes from being looked at with kindness, and not turning away. The avoidance begins as protection, but over time, it can become a prison, a habit so deeply wired that even in moments of warmth, safety, or love, the eyes still cannot meet. The gaze still drops, the presence still retreats, and the person is left wondering, why can't I just look at them? Why does something so simple feel so impossible? This is the paradox of the averted gaze. It is both a shield and a wound, a survival mechanism and a source of longing. Because beneath the looking away, there is often a deep, unspoken wish to be seen without fear, to be held in someone's gaze and feel safe there. But that safety has not yet been found, and so the eyes continue to drift, searching not for escape but for a way back to themselves. No one is born afraid of being seen. Watch a baby, still new to the world, and you will notice something extraordinary. They stare, openly, unguarded, with a kind of fearless curiosity that holds nothing back. Their eyes meet yours without hesitation, without shame, without the weight of 1,000 unspoken judgments. They do not yet know that a gaze can carry disappointment, that eyes can harden with anger, or glaze over with indifference, that being looked at can become something to endure, rather than something to trust. but they will learn, because the way we come to relate to eye contact is not innate, it is taught, quietly, invisibly, through 1,000 small moments that shape how safe it feels to be visible. The lessons begin early. A child reaches for their parent's face, seeking connection, and is met with warmth, or they speak excitedly about something that matters to them, and they are looked at with interest, or their words are met with distraction, irritation, a glance that says, "Not now." These moments accumulate. When a child is seen with love, patience, and presence, they learn that being visible is good, that their face, their expression, their existence is something worth witnessing, that eye contact is a form of emotional nourishment, not a risk. But when a child is seen with anger, dismissal, or criticism, when the gaze they receive is harsh, cold, or absent, they learn something different. They learn that being looked at is dangerous. There are many ways this lesson takes root. Sometimes it arrives through direct cruelty, a parent whose eyes flash with rage, whose stare becomes a weapon. A child learns quickly not to meet that gaze, because doing so invites confrontation, escalation, punishment. The eyes become something to avoid, a survival tactic. Other times, the lesson is quieter, more subtle, a parent who is physically present but emotionally distant, who looks at the child, but not into them, whose gaze passes over the surface without ever reaching the longing beneath. The child tries to hold the connection. They perform, they adjust, they search the parent's face for signs of recognition, but the eyes do not soften. The presence does not arrive, and so the child learns, "I am not worth looking at. My presence is not enough." Over time, they stop trying. They stop reaching. They stop expecting that meeting someone's eyes will bring comfort, and instead, it begins to bring only anxiety. Shame is often the silent architect of the averted gaze. It is the feeling that tells us we are fundamentally flawed, that if someone truly saw us, really looked, they would see something unworthy, something broken, something too much or not enough. Shame thrives in the space between visibility and hiding. For those who grew up under the weight of constant criticism, perfectionism, or conditional love, eye contact becomes a minefield. Every glance feels like an evaluation. Every gaze holds the potential for judgment. They begin to believe that being seen clearly means being rejected clearly, and so they look away, not because they don't care, but because they care too much. Because the stakes of being visible feel unbearably high. Then there are those who are not seen at all, the children who grew up in homes where their emotional needs were invisible, where they learned to be small, quiet, accommodating, where their presence was tolerated but not celebrated, where no one ever looked at them with the kind of steady, attuned attention that says, "You matter. I see you. You are safe here." For these children, the absence of the gaze becomes its own kind of wound. They grow into adults who struggle with eye contact, not because they fear judgment, but because they have never learned what it feels like to be truly, lovingly witnessed. Eye contact for them is unfamiliar territory. It stirs something ancient and uncomfortable, the longing to be seen, mixed with the terror that being seen will once again lead to nothing. So they retreat. They protect themselves from hoping for something they've learned not to expect. And then there are the moments that scar more deeply. The children who were looked at with disgust, with contempt, with the kind of gaze that strips away dignity and leaves only shame in its place. The children who were objectified, scrutinized, made to feel that their body, their face, their very existence was something to be judged, controlled, or violated. The averted gaze is not just discomforted, is a form of dissociation, a way to leave the body before someone else can claim it, a way to disappear without physically leaving the room. All of these experiences, these early relational wounds, become encoded in the nervous system. They shape not just how we think about eye contact, but how our body responds to it. The racing heart, the shallow breath, the urge to flee, these are not conscious choices. They are survival adaptations, built in childhood and carried silently into adulthood. The person who avoids eye contact is not being difficult. They are being loyal to the part of themselves that once learned, looking can hurt, being seen can cost you something. And until that old lesson is gently unlearned, the eyes will continue to look away, not out of indifference, but out of memory. There is a language the body speaks that the mind does not always understand. It is the language of tension and release, of signals sent and received beneath the surface of conscious thought. It is the language of the nervous system ancient, designed not for reflection but for survival. And in this language, eye contact is not a social gesture, it is a threat assessment. Deep in the brain, nestled within the temporal lobes, lies a small almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. It is the brain's alarm system. It's guard dog, the part of us that scans the environment constantly, asking a single, urgent question: am I safe? The amygdala does not think in words. It does not analyze or rationalize. It responds to patterns, to cues, to anything that has ever signaled danger in the past. And one of the most powerful cues it monitors is the human gaze. Eye contact activates the amygdala in everyone. This is normal. This is how the brain processes social information, by paying close attention to the eyes of others, reading intention, emotion, connection. But for some people, this activation is not subtle. It is not a quiet hum of awareness, that is a flood. When their eyes meet another's, the amygdala does not whisper, "Pay attention." It shouts, "Danger." The body responds accordingly. Heart rate increases, breathing quickens, muscles tense. The system prepares to fight, flee, or freeze, even though there is no visible threat. Even though the person in front of them is smiling, safe, and well-meaning, the nervous system does not care. It remembers. This is the neurological reality for many people with social anxiety. Their brains have learned, through repeated experience or innate sensitivity, that eye contact is a high-stakes event. That being looked at triggers a cascade of stress responses that feel overwhelming, even unbearable. They are not imagining it. They are not being dramatic. Their body is genuinely interpreting the gaze of another person as a form of exposure, vulnerability their nervous system is not equipped to tolerate, and so they look away, not out of choice, but out of biological necessity. For others, the avoidance of eye contact is not rooted in anxiety, but in the way their brain processes social information differently. People on the autism spectrum, for example, often experience eye contact as intensely uncomfortable, not because they fear judgment, but because it is sensorially overwhelming. The eyes are rich with information, micro-expressions, shifting emotions, subtle cues. For a neurotypical brain, this information is processed smoothly, almost automatically. But for an autistic brain, the amount of data contained in a direct gaze can be too much, too fast, too complex to decode while also listening, thinking, responding, existing in the moment. Eye contact, for them, is not a source of connection. It is a source of overload. Looking away is not avoidance. It is regulation, a way to reduce input so that meaningful communication can still occur. They are not disengaged. They are managing their internal experience so they can remain engaged. Trauma, too, leaves its mark on the gaze. For those who have experienced relational trauma, abuse, neglect, betrayal, eye contact can trigger the body's stored memory of those moments when being seen was dangerous. The eyes become a portal back to the past, a reminder of the times when a certain look preceded harm, when being watched meant being controlled, when meeting someone's gaze meant enduring something unbearable. The person may not consciously remember every detail, but the body remembers, and when the eyes meet, the body reacts as if the threat is present again, as if looking directly at someone will reopen a wound that has never fully healed. This is not irrational. This is the way trauma encodes itself, not in narrative, but in sensation, in reflex, in the quiet, automatic ways the body tries to protect itself from reliving what it once survived. There is also a cultural and contextual layer to this. Not all avoidance of eye contact is rooted in fear or dysfunction. In many cultures, direct eye contact is not a sign of respect, it is a sign of challenge, dominance, or impropriety. Children are taught to lower their gaze when speaking to elders. Employees avert their eyes when addressing superiors. Women may avoid prolonged eye contact in contexts where doing so could be misinterpreted or invite unwanted attention. In these cases, the averted gaze is not a symptom, it is a cultural script, a learned behavior that communicates humility, deference, or social awareness. The absence of eye contact does not mean the absence of connection. It simply means the connection is being expressed in a different language. But for those whose avoidance is rooted in the nervous system's response to threat, the science reveals something important. This is not a moral failing. It is not a lack of effort or willpower. It is a wiring issue, a mismatch between what the social world expects and what the body can tolerate. And understanding this, truly understanding it, changes everything, because it means the person avoiding eye contact is not broken. They are not rude. They are not cold. They are simply operating with a nervous system that has learned, for very real reasons, that being looked at feels unsafe. The challenge, then, is not to force the gaze. It is to create conditions where the nervous system can slowly, gently, learn a new truth, that being seen does not always lead to harm, that eye contact can be a place of safety, not just scrutiny, that the eyes of another person can hold kindness, not just judgment, but that learning takes time, and it cannot be rushed. Because the body does not unlearn fear through logic. It unlearns fear through experience, through repeated, patient evidence that this time, it is safe to stay, safe to look, safe to be witnessed, and until that safety is felt, not just understood, the eyes will continue to drift, not out of refusal, but out of self-protection. There is a kind of loneliness that lives not in the absence of people, but in the presence of a barrier you cannot name. You are in the room, you are part of the conversation, you are physically there, among others, surrounded by the hum of connection, and yet, you are not with them, not fully, because somewhere between your heart and your gaze, there is a wall, invisible, but immovable, a distance you did not choose, but cannot seem to close. This is the paradox of those who avoid eye contact. They are often the ones who long for connection the most. It is a strange cruelty, this contradiction. To want so deeply to be seen, and yet to feel unable to meet the very gaze that offers it, to crave intimacy, while simultaneously retreating from the moments that could create it. The avoidance is not indifference. It is not coldness, it is the ache of wanting something your nervous system has learned to fear. There are quiet moments when this longing surfaces, a conversation where you finally feel understood, and for a split second, your eyes almost meet theirs, but then the familiar tightness returns, and you look away again. A friend who speaks to you with such warmth that you wish you could hold their gaze, just to show them you feel it too, but the weight is too much, the vulnerability too sharp, and so you glance at your hands, the floor, anywhere but their face. A lover who reaches for you, who looks at you as if you are something precious, and you can only bear it in fragments, brief, stolen glances, never the full, unguarded exchange that you know they want, that you want to, and afterward, there is shame. Not because you did anything wrong, but because you know something was lost in the looking away, some thread of connection that could have been held, but slipped through your fingers instead. People who avoid eye contact often misunderstand themselves. They believe they are failing at something simple, that everyone else finds this easy, and they alone are broken, that if they just tried harder, cared more, were braver, they could do it. But this is not a failure of will, it is a conflict between two truths. The mind cannot reconcile the first truth, I want to be close to people, I want to be known. The second truth, being known, feels unbearable. Both are real, both are valid, and both exist simultaneously inside the same person. This is not contradiction, this is complexity. And the path forward is not to deny one truth in favor of the other. It is to hold both gently, and to begin asking a different question, not why can't I do this, but what would it take for this to feel safe? Because the body is not the enemy here. The nervous system that recoils from eye contact is not sabotaging you. It is protecting you, the only way it knows how. That it is doing what it was designed to do, keep you safe from harm. The problem is not that it is too sensitive. The problem is that it learned, once, to associate visibility with danger, and it has never been given enough evidence to believe otherwise. So the work is not to override the fear, it is to slowly, tenderly, teach the body a new story. This begins, as all healing does, with self-compassion. With the recognition that the averted gaze is not a weakness, it is a wound, and wounds do not heal through force, they heal through care. For some, this means starting small, practicing eye contact in contexts that feel safer, with a therapist, a trusted friend, a mirror, not to perform confidence, but to gently expand the window of tolerance. To let the nervous system feel, even for a moment, that being seen does not have to end in collapse. For others, it means naming the pattern aloud, telling the people who matter, this is hard for me. It's not about you, I'm working on it, and discovering, often to their surprise, that the people who love them do not need perfect eye contact to feel connected. They simply need honesty, presence, the willingness to stay, even when it's uncomfortable. There is also a deeper layer to this, healing, a recognition that reclaiming the gaze is not just about looking at others, that it is about learning to meet yourself. Because, for many who avoid eye contact, the real fear is not what others will see in them, it is what they will see in themselves, if they stop hiding the sadness they have been holding, the anger they were never allowed to express, the smallness they were taught to carry, the longing they buried because it felt too dangerous to want, all of it held in the eyes, all of it waiting to be witnessed on. So the looking away is not just about the other person, it is about avoiding the confrontation with one's own inner life. But there comes a point when the cost of hiding becomes greater than the cost of being seen. When the loneliness of the averted gaze begins to outweigh the safety at once. provided. And in that moment, something shifts. It does not happen all at once. There is no single day when the fear dissolves and the eyes suddenly meet with ease, but there are small victories, quiet moments of courage, a conversation where you hold someone's gaze for 3 seconds longer than usual, and nothing terrible happens. A moment when you look at yourself in the mirror not with judgment, but with curiosity, and something inside softens. A realization that being seen, even imperfectly, feels less exhausting than hiding. These moments accumulate, the way wounds once did, but this time, they are building something new. Not a scar, but a bridge back to presence, back to connection, back to the quiet human truth that we are not meant to go through life unseen. The person who once avoided every gaze may never become someone who seeks it effortlessly. That is okay. Because the goal is not to become someone else. It is to become more fully yourself. To reclaim the right to be visible, without needing to be perfect, to meet another's eyes and know that what they see, whatever they see, is enough. Not because you have earned it, not because you have proven your worth, but because being human, in all its fragility and complexity, has always been enough. And so the eyes once trained to look away, begin to return, not with force, not with shame, but with patience, with tenderness, with a slow, steady understanding that the gaze is not a weapon. It is an invitation to be present, to be seen, to be held, if only for a moment, in the quiet recognition that you are here, and that here, in this fragile, fleeting exchange of presence, you are not alone.